It sure does seem like everything old is new again, including retro side dishes like carrot salads. I happen to remember some of those older ones, and they were definitely on the sweet side, and they contain things like raisins. We're not going to talk about that anymore because Christy's here, and she's going to show us the way with a thoroughly modern carrot salad.
Absolutely. You know, Bridget, the way that you prep vegetables can completely change the way you experience them. So for a carrot, for instance, it's hard, it's dense. If you shred it, now you have all this surface area where your sauces or your dressings can cling. You soften the texture of the carrot, and you also soften the intensity of the flavor, which in the case of a carrot is not a bad thing.
I'm all for that.
Right, they're very intense. So before we get started with the carrots, we should talk about different kinds of carrots and things we should look for.
Okay.
So you want to look for smaller carrots, small, medium. They tend to be juicier and more tender. Big carrots start to get woody and kind of tough.
Yes, they're great for, propping up an old table.
Or feeding horses.
Right.
If you can find the really fresh ones with the green still attached to them, they're going to be the best flavor. Now, we're shredding these, and you could totally use a box grater to shred them, but you're going to get a finer shred, and it's going to take a lot less time if you use that shredding disc that came with your food processor. It's on already. Okay, so we're going to turn this on. Now, this was a pound of carrots that I already peeled. We wanted to really amp up the flavor in this. No raisins here.
No honey, no raisins.
No honey, no raisins. There will be a little sweetness.
Okay.
But it's going to be balanced by a lot of other really big powerhouse ingredients.
Lovely.
So I'm going to start with a nice allium base. I have some scallions here. Just going to trim these. And we're going to use the whites and the greens. I want nice thin slices. And I'm looking for about a 1/4 cup.
Okay.
I'm going to put these right in my big bowl. We also will use some garlic. So I'm just going to give my garlic a mince. You could use a garlic press if you like. So now we'll add some nice fresh herbs. So I've got cilantro here, and I've got some mint. Now we know that we can use all of the cilantro, stems and leaves. And I'm just going to give this a nice chop. Now I'm going to pick some mint. So with mint, obviously we don't want the stems because they're so thick. So I'm just going to pick off the leaves so I can slice through it first.
Beautiful.
All right, so 1/3 cup of each of our herbs. We need something crunchy. So we're going to add some peanuts. So this is 1/2 cup of dry roasted peanuts. We'll just give these a chop. Just to break them up a little. You want to have some presence in the salad. All right, into the bowl we go.
Oh, that's going to be so good.
All right, now we're going to add some heat and some kind of juicy crunch too. I have Serrano chilies. Now, you can use 1, you could use 2. I know you like some spice.
I like a little spice.
Right, but if you didn't want them to be too spicy, you could also cut them in half lengthwise and take out the ribs and the seeds, and the ribs are where most of the heat is.
Right.
And that'll tame it a little bit.
Perfect.
We want some juice. We want some juice and some acidity and a little bit of sourness. So I have 2 limes here. First, I'm going to zest them. It smells so good. So we want 2 teaspoons of zest, and we can usually get that from 1 lime. All right, so we have our 2 teaspoons of zest, and now we'll cut these in half. Now we've seen some different ways of juicing citrus. I like to use my tongs as kind of a reamer. So 3 tablespoons of juice. So I can dump all of my carrots into the big bowl now. Look at those shreds.
How pretty.
You would not get that precision from a box grater.
That's beautiful.
Isn't it pretty? It's so, it's bright in color, bright in flavor. Now to really pump up the flavor, we're going to add a few more ingredients in the umami direction with some fish sauce. This is a tablespoon of fish sauce.
And salty.
Now I have a tablespoon of toasted sesame oil.
One of my all-time favorite ingredients for anything.
It's so nice, and that nuttiness is going to play nicely with the peanuts. Then I have a tablespoon of sugar. This is just granulated sugar. You could use brown sugar if you wanted. And then a teaspoon of salt. And now we're just going to toss this. Now once all that green stuff comes up off the bottom of the bowl. Isn't that pretty? Now this smells so good, but we're just going to let it sit here to let the flavors meld for about 30 minutes.
Okay.
And then we'll be ready to taste it.
Lovely.
Well, we've been melding. Are you ready?
This still looks absolutely vibrant and gorgeous, and I can actually smell it too, which is a good sign. It's a good thing that it's still at room temp. Yep.
Exactly.
I'm so ready.
All right. Let me serve you. That was an avalanche of flavor. Oh, but the carrots are just perfectly softened from the dressing and being allowed to sit. They're still nice and crisp and crunchy. The lime juice and the fish sauce. It's very balanced, but it's
balanced. A little bit of the crunch from the peanuts.
For full episodes of your favorite cooking shows, head over to ATK's Full Episodes channel on YouTube. You can stream complete seasons of America's Test Kitchen, Cook's Country, and more. See you there.